So something else I wanted to get to the other day when I made that video, but I didn't get a chance to say, was that some more fruit was harvested from the soul winning mission, the soul winning marathon, and that was the next day. So the soul winning marathon happened on a Saturday, and that Sunday I went over to this woman's house and I helped her. I helped take care of her because she can't walk. And so I was at their house. I had just finished getting her out of bed and getting her situated for the morning. And her husband is talking to me from the living room. I'm in the kitchen, and it's like an open room, and so the living room is right next to it. And so he's talking to me, and he's like, "Hey, how was your soul winning marathon?" And I said, "Oh, it was good." And he said, "What happened?" And I said, "We got 23 people saved." And he said, "Oh, that's interesting." And he said, "You guys really go door to door?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "And what do you say when you go to their door?" I said, "Well, I asked them if they know for sure that they're going to go to heaven, and if they don't know, would they like to know?" And he said, "Oh, that's fascinating." And so I said, "Do you know for sure that you're going to go when you die?" And he said, I don't know. I think I am. And anything that is not an emphatic yes, that can later be, reinforced by, them explaining to you why they think yes, then that's a no. And so I was running late for church, but I was like, I can show you how you can know for sure. I can pull it up for you. I have all the verses on my phone. And he said, "Well, I don't want to take up your time and hold you up." I said, "I got all the time in the world." So I grabbed my phone, I sat right there next to him in the living room, and I gave that man the gospel. And you know what? He got saved. And this is a 79-year-old man that I'm talking to. And his wife, the woman that I was there to take care of, she was like a few feet away. And I've been trying to work on her, so please pray for her. I've been talking to her for months now, and she's really having trouble with the concept that Jesus is God and that you can't lose your salvation. So please pray for her that her spiritual eyes will be opened in that regard. But she was listening as I was talking to her husband, and I got to the part about how salvation is a gift. And so I gave him the analogy or the picture of, if I gave you a pair of shoes, but then I said, "Oh, you have to give me $5. Is that a gift?" And he said, "No." And then I said, "Okay, if I gave you a pair of shoes, but I told you you had to go wash my car, is that a gift?" And he was sitting there thinking, and his wife pipes up from the back and she says, "No." And he's like, "Yeah, no, I don't think that is." And then I said, "Right." And then I said, "If I gave you a pair of shoes and then 2 weeks later I asked for them back because you haven't worn them, is that a gift?" And he's sitting there thinking, and his wife goes, "No." And he's like, "Well, I think so." And I said, "Well, not really, because if I can take it back from you, then I didn't really give it to you in the first place." And he says, "Oh yeah, I see what you're saying now." And so yeah, he just kind of, some people, they're just ready. Some fish just jump into the boat, and he accepted everything I said. I was like, "You know that you're a sinner?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "You understand that because we sinned, we deserve hell?" And I went through the verses about hell. He said, "Yeah, that makes sense." And I said, "Do you understand that Jesus went to hell in our stead? Because the debt that has to be paid is that someone has to pay for the sin. And so because we would go to hell if we, were paying for our sin, Jesus had to go to hell because he paid for our sin." And he said, "Yeah, that makes sense. I can get with that." And then I was like, it's free. You don't work for it. And because you don't work for it, there's nothing you can work to do to lose it. It's not yours, to begin with. But it is yours, once you get it. And then, God, he is holding you in his hand once you become his child. Give the analogy about how your physical children will always be your physical children. That whole shtick. He said, "Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah." And I was like, what else did I say? And I was like, "Yeah, do you want to pray and, confess Christ with your mouth and, believe on him?" And he said, "Sure." We prayed, and it just was so easy. It took no time at all. I just, explained it to him. I went through the verses, And I don't know if anyone else is like this, but I'm always modifying my soul winning technique because like every few months I like have a new set of verses that I'm using and I'm like, oh, this is so good. I like these verses. These go really well. And then after a few months I look at them and I'm using them again and I'm like, I don't like any of these. Why did I pick these? I don't know what's wrong. I don't know why I have such a hard time nailing down a set of verses to use. Anyways, but yeah, and so it was just so streamlined and easy, and he was just ready. His heart was softened, and he just accepted. And I kept asking him because sometimes if it's too easy, you feel like, are they even listening to me? Like, are they just kind of going along because I'm just kind of talking to them? But he was like, yeah, Jesus, he died on the cross. Because I mean, this is someone who is familiar with the concept of Jesus and religion, and so I guess he just needed to have it pieced all together for him. And he said something to me, and oh my goodness, it just touched my heart. It was so sweet. And I said, yeah, all you have to do is believe, and now you're a Christian, and now no matter what you do, you'll go to heaven. And he said, is it really that simple? Oh, is it really that simple? Yes. Yes, it is. It is truly that simple. Just confess with your mouth and believe in your heart that Jesus is God. Well, that Jesus is the Lord and that God raised him from the dead. So basically that. And, it's so sweet. So many people, they work and they toil to go to heaven. And it's like, you have to work to make money. You have to work to have a good sustaining marriage. You have to work to raise kids that are not derelicts. You have to work, to upkeep your home. You have to work to be fit and healthy. You have to work for everything in this life. It's just a never-ending grind. So you wake up and you just have to work for everything. Everything is so hard. And it's like, is there any rest? Is there any way that we can find some solace? Is there any peace? And it's like, yes. Jesus said, come unto me, all who are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. All who are burdened and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. And it's like, man, we just miss that, I mean, a lot of people miss that, That's something I'm always harping on, is the fact that, like, it really is just that easy. It really is just believe, And that's just the beauty. I mean, it's almost like it's good news. It's almost like that is the good news, is that out of all the things in life that you have to work and toil and sweat and grind and hustle for, entrance into heaven is not one of them.